I feel like I literally owe my career to bar associations,
Yeah.
truly, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, when I started law school, not to get morbid, but I think it's very important because I do see a lot of people of color here, students of color, women of color, etc., in attendance. And I think these are just facts that we have to live with. And just, familial responsibilities are very important for us, right? So 10 months before I started law school, my father passed away, right?
Oh my
And
gosh,
when
I'm
I
so
was
sorry.
Thank you. But ultimately what that meant was when I started law school, I had to work 35 hours a week my first year and my second year and my third year, right? And I even remember the dean having to talk with me like, oh, well, Miss Gasson, we've noticed that. And mind you, I was still getting like B's and A's. A's for, constitutional law, criminal procedure, where it really kind of mattered. But ultimately I had a talking to because they noticed that I was always going like in and out of class or I'd show up to class late, etc. And I was like, well, I'm working. Like, well, the ABA doesn't allow students to work more than 20 hours a week. And I'm like, well, are you going to help my mom pay for the mortgage? Like, are you going to help me have food on my mom's table? Like, where in the ABA is there a footnote about like familial responsibility, right? And obviously there is none. But having said that, I always knew that I wasn't going to be able to do law review or moot court or the trial team, etc., because I had to go to class and then go to work, right? Um, and because of that, and I've said this during orientation, they're like, "Stop saying that word." I'm like, "Well, I'm a hustler." Hey, they invite me back every single year, so I'm good. The point is that my first year, I went to a MABA event. Actually, the MABA event was held at Loyola Law School, literally like an evening at Loyola. And there was this amazing trial attorney. He did criminal defense work, which I wasn't really interested in. I always knew I was civil rights, like social justice geared. But anyway, I walked up to him when he was done. His name is Felipe Placencia. He actually passed away, unfortunately, 3 years ago in a plane crash, actually. And I was like, hey, Felipe, like, I think you're amazing. I want to be a trial attorney. I'm very social justice geared, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, can you hire me? And he was like, you know what? I've never, at that time it was like 20 years, something like that. Like, I've never hired a law clerk before, but like, you're super ballsy. And you just walked up to me and asked for a job, and I'm going to hire you. And sure enough, hired me. And I was with him for about a year or so. And then we were driving once, and he was like, hey, I know you don't want to do criminal defense. What do you want to do? I was like, police brutality, jail work cases, etc. He's like, where would you love to work at? I was like, Johnny Cochran's firm. And he literally picked up the phone. We were driving, and he called Brian Dunn, which is the managing partner at the Cochran firm. And he's like, hey, yo, what's up, Brian? Like, they were literally buddies. And he's like, I have a law clerk. Her name's Denise, and her dream is to work with you. Will you hire her? And sure enough, Brian Dunn at Johnny Cochran's firm hired me. So I was there for about 2 years. And then when I strategically went to the other side, the defense side, the only reason why I was hired by the defense side, according to the managing partner at that public entity defense firm, was because I had previously worked at Johnny Cochran's firm, right? So they thought, oh, great, she's coming in with that intel. Um, Obviously, fast forward 5 years thereafter, you then have Arnoldo Casillas, an amazing Latino civil rights attorney who has set records regarding police shootings and jail death cases, specifically recruiting me from that public entity defense firm because A, he wanted a Latina, but obviously, strategically also wanted that intel. And I feel like it all goes back to that one Mexican American Bar Association event that I attended at Loyola Law, right? So